The Dolphin emulator. It's an iconic emulator that's been around for years. It's 2025. Let's jump into it. So now that we're on the computer, now we gotta download the Dolphin emulator. So how do you get the Dolphin emulator? Well, there's a link in my description, or you go to dolphin-emu.org. Simple. So we need to talk about those two different types of emulators on here. One is the release emulator that is flawless, will work right out of the download. The second one is the development version. The development version is not what you want. It is, I won't say broken, but it won't work 100%. As you see, it's been 15 hours ago since I worked on this one. This one was released December 2024, about a month ago. The thing you need to know is you can actually choose any of these, and these will all work, but this one is the most recent one, so it has the most updated and everything you want. You can download this on Mac OS, Android, Linux, and Windows. I have Windows, so that's what I'm using. So after you hit this button, it's going to automatically download. Make sure it downloads into a spot you can remember. That is the most important. And this whole tutorial will work from now until the end of time, unless I really mess with the emulator to make this so much different. But since the time I've got the emulator to now, it's all the same. So let's move over to the emulator. Now that you have downloaded it, installed it, and opened up the emulator itself, you'll see a dashboard that looks like this. Yours will have no ROMs on it. How do you get ROMs? Well, that's an interesting question. Google is your friend. I know people hate that. Also, I am your friend. You can come talk to me on my Facebook page and I will help you find the ROMs that you need. 3, you will use a homebrewed Wii system. Those are your 3 options you get. So let's move on to step 2. Well, I guess step 3. You want to hit config. You want to bypass all these other settings and go to path. After you have your ROMs on your computer, I hope to God you put them in a place you can remember, because I know there's times that people do that kind of stuff. They download and figure where they go. You want to put them where you can remember. So like I have mine in my G hard drive under homebrew, and they're in 2 different folders. And that's another key. Please put them in 2 different folders. It makes life a lot easier if you have to download more ROMs or however you're going to do your ROM system. So after you have those set up, close this out, and you can test your games. See if they come on, see if they don't come on. I will tell you, every game I've ever put on here works flawlessly. Next thing, you want to go to graphics. You want to go to general. You want to choose your backing. So this is your backing for your emulator, basically. So you got the Dolphin emulator, and then you want to choose one of these. You got a Direct 3D 11 and 12, OpenGL, Vulkan. But I honestly, and sometimes they give you more as well. So honestly, I use Vulkan, and it will pop up my AMD graphics card. And I focus on 16:9 because I do live streaming. You guys might want to do 4:3. And if you want to do it easily, you just do auto, and it will auto do the scaling depending on what your system is you're using, if you're using Wii or GameCube. But I like this to have 16:9. It makes it look better for live streaming. So after you do that, you want to go to enhancements. Now this is where it gets really tricky. I've been messing with this for a while, and so what I get is a 1080p signal. I get 2 times aliasing, and then I got a 2 times focus linear, and 2, well, I have a big light in my voice, I can't read what that says, but basically if you hit those buttons, you have all these different defaults and stuff, and default alone. So you don't have to add these graphics on here, these added graphics. You do want to choose, what output you want, and I really suggest doing 1080p because most TVs are. If you have a 4K, you can do 4K monitoring. If you have an 8K, you can probably do 8K monitoring. But again, all this has to do with your computer and how your computer can handle it. So let me show you what I'm using for my computer. So if you go to Task Manager and you go to Performance, you'll see what your computer has. So I'm showing you this, so if you have something similar to mine, you can just set it up just like me. So I'm using an AMD Ryzen 7 57G with integrated graphics. So I do not have a graphics card in my system. So that's a big deal. So you can see how it's running, how fast it's running. and all that. I'm just gonna sit here and you can look at all the stats and see how it's going. The next thing you want to look at is how much RAM do you got. I got 32 gigabytes of RAM in this system. You know, that's pretty good amount, I think. Not bad. I use a lot of stuff on here, so depending on what it is. And a Wii game and the GameCube games, depending on the game, can use a lot of RAM sometimes. Not most of the time, but sometimes. Um, like right now, I'm using 10.8 gigabytes of RAM, but I'm using all sorts of things opened up right now for recording this video. So that means I have 20 gigabytes left. So I got plenty of RAM to play these games from this video and live streaming and all that. Now my graphics card is interesting, my GPU, because it's integrated with my CPU. Sorry, guys. And it's a powerful graphics card. I mean, it is a AMD Randon TM graphics card. You guys know that they're a famous graphics card for gaming and stuff. As you see, it does have 3D capabilities and all that. It's very good. So this is what I'm using for my PC. So AMD Ryzen 7 57G that has these graphics built in and 32 gigabytes RAM. So if you have something similar to that, it's perfect to set up this way. Now, I'm going to do some demonstrations here on how to set up the controller next. So I'm using the Dolphin bar. You can buy it on Amazon. Let me show you what I mean. This is the Dolphin bar that I use when I play the Dolphin emulator. This is made by Mayflash. It's a very good company. I also have a HD adapter by Mayflash for my N64. And yeah, this one's a little pricey. It is $29.98, but it's fantastic and it's worth it. And there is no complaints on this one. As you see, there's plenty of options on here. But I'm not going to get into those options because it's not about the Dolphin bar. This is about the emulator. But as you see, I've had it for almost 2 years now. But you don't have to buy the expensive ones. You don't. You can come back and you can see that there's cheaper ones you can have. And they work on the Dolphin emulator. They work on the Wii as well. Some of them have adapters for the Wii. And I don't think you actually need the adapter. But see, this one is actually a Wii one. But the ones with the USB ones will plug right into your computer. And you'll be good to go for the Dolphin emulator bar. But let's get back to the computer itself and the Dolphin emulator. So let's say you don't have a Dolphin emulator or Dolphin bar and you want to still play your GameCube games. Well, you can do that. You can play it with a normal Logitech controller, and you would just set up the port here and you go GameCube adapter or standard controller, or what if you have any of these that can be plugged into your computer, it works. Even a keyboard controller, in other words, keyboard commands. I do not recommend that. It's kind of boring to play with a keyboard, but if you have it, you can do it. I prefer using the Dolphin bar with the actual Wii remote or a Logitech controller for the GameCube side. So if you have the actual Wii remote, you can come down this option and say enable the Bluetooth adapter. That would be your Dolphin bar. And then you would have the option of emulating the Wii remote or real Wii remote. I suggest get the Dolphin bar of some sort and then actually use the real controllers, because the real hardware is always better than secondary hardware. And when I mean real hardware, I mean just the controller alone. You're going to have up to 4 different spots for 4 different Wii remotes. You can enable the balance board if you have a balance board. And like this thing does all the accessories, so you have nothing to worry about there. So that's basically it. You use real Wii remotes, hit the enable that, and you're good to go. Make sure it all says real and not emulation. It does make a difference. And that's it. You're good to go. Hit the button on the sync button on the Dolphin bar. Hit the sync button on here, and it will link up, and you're good to go. So now let's talk about how you know if you set up your system correctly. This is a big deal, and I'm going to show you the difference between a correct setup and a bad setup. So we're going to come up here. Wrong one. My bad. We're going to come up to graphics. Now I'm going to leave the general alone. This does not need to be touched. If you're having some issues, the VSync could be the problem, but I have noticed the VSync is not the problem. So this is the setup, right? I'm going to change one setting. I'm going to put this down to 4. And you're going to see something interesting. And I'm going to show you the correct way of how to set it up. So we're going to use Mario Kart. This is my favorite game to use for testing. And I'm going to skip through the beginning of it. And here we go, time lapse. Okay, so I need you to listen to the sound, and I need you to watch the screen. Okay, so as you can hear, the screen is moving really slow. The sound is bad. And this is an actual menu. So I just hit the home button and it does this. Um, Anyways, you got the Viva mode and it actually shows you how much battery life you have in it and stuff too. It's not perfect on the emulation, but it's good enough. So that is bad emulation. That is how you know something is not right. So let's hit escape. That's how you get out of it when you're using a keyboard command. I think you can just hit quit on this and it will do the same thing. If not, yeah, just hit exit on your keyboard. So let's go back up to configs, or not configs, graphics. I don't know why you want to call it configs. And let's move this down to 2. Now remember, guys, you don't have to actually use these at all. You can just keep them on default if you want to. Some CPUs will have problems using these, okay? Like I said, I'm using this one. This one will do the same thing. You can use this one or this one. I like using this one. I think it looks better. I would just leave all this alone. I wouldn't even touch it. So now I have it all set up like this again. So you can see I'm going to do the same game, do the same time lapse, so you don't have to watch the opening. So as you can see, you can hear now, there's no problems. So now you know what a good emulation sounds like and a bad emulation and what it looks like. Some kind of high-end graphics card, I'm sure this will have no problem. You can see the game is looking good. Always making sound. You guys will have no problem with it. So there you guys go. Let's check out something real fast for you guys. I can't get that up here. So, yeah, exit on the computer is probably your friend. But anyways, so yeah, do those basic steps and your emulation will be flawless and perfect, and you can play GameCube games. But what you need for I'm going to jump in here real fast because when I was editing, I realized that I forgot to show you how to get this, and I showed this in the beginning. So the first thing you need to do is let's go back to the basic mode, the line mode here. It's, the boring mode, the one that looks like, you're going to hit config. You're going to hit interface. You're going to come down here where it says download game cover. And it's for one mode only. It's called grid mode. So you're going to hit that. You're going to close this out. You're going to go to view. You're going to go to grid view. When you do this is going to take some time, but it will download all these one by one, and you'll have all your games with box art. Now this is cool because if you go back to the view list mode, you'll notice that some of them don't have that. So I suggest you use grid mode. So go download that. You can see all your beautiful box arts and what you have on there. It says GameCube, it says Wii, so you know what its system is for just by looking at it. And yeah, let's get back to the video right now. A Logitech controller like this, you have all the buttons, or an 8-bit DOE controller like this that I use on my Retron 5. Either one does work, but I do suggest getting the Dolphin bar, getting a Viva remote with the nunchuck, because some of those games take nunchucks, and you'll have a perfect setup with a computer, Logitech controller, and a real Wii remote and a Dolphin bar. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on my next video. Peace.